Okay, hi, I'm here to give you my Muddy Points blog, and I think the word Muddy Points is just a good name whenever you're talking about copyright law, because the laws there can be so much there, and it can be so hard for the regular person just to know what kind of guidelines they need to follow, and just it leaves you with the question, how do I know if I'm violating copyright? And so one of the things just to avoid that is try to include copyright notice on anything you do. For one thing, if you're getting pictures from Google search or something, you're going to find the search and to look for pictures that you are allowed to use. But in those cases, you should still cite the source. Spontaneity is probably something that only applies in face-to-face learning. So online learning, it's just always important that you involve more planning and preparation into everything you do, because just with everything in online learning, you have to think ahead about what the learners can use. You're going to have to make it a little bit more permanent, and so copyright becomes a lot more important. You're not going to be protected by that spontaneity. One of the questions that I have that always comes up in this is just how much of what we do is just culturally motivated. In my wife's recent work through a Thai university, some of her assignments were really just cutting and pasting extensively from different sources and not always really crediting them in the way that we would expect. Some cultures just have different views about this. I had a project when I was pretty early on in my teaching, my first year in Thailand. I was at a bilingual school, and I gave the students, they were 7th graders, a project where they should look at a certain mathematician, just write a paragraph about something that they learned from that. And I got back all these paragraphs that were obviously above their writing level, so I just did a quick search. They were all clearly plagiarized. I don't think that the students even necessarily read what they had posted, and it just really forced me to slow down. It was a math class. I didn't really expect that to be an issue. I didn't think that I would have to be teaching them about copyright and plagiarism because I expect that to be something in their English class, and it's just something that hadn't come up. It's something that was really a foreign idea to them. They just didn't get it. And even after rewrites, when I asked them to do it again, it was pretty much the same results with minor changes. And so those different ideas really came down to what I didn't realize at the time was that's how they did their Thai projects too. It wasn't like they were trying to get out of their English work by trying to make it easy because their English was a little more difficult. It was really something that was culturally based. It wasn't considered cheating to them. And even people within our own culture have different views about intellectual property rights. Seeing it just as a way maybe for corporations to monopolize on ideas, people might think that it's ridiculous. How can you put property rights on something that is not really tangible, that you haven't really taken anything from the owner of that? Like, for example, if I stole a car, then the owner of the car wouldn't be able to use their car, but if I take a recording of the song and I make a digital copy of that, they still have everything that they had before. And so we look at that and we might have disagreements about what that means, but as Christians we should step back and think about what the Bible says about that. And I think that the best passage to deal with this is in Romans 13, verses 1 through 7. This is reading from the New American Standard Bible. Every person is to be in subjection to the governing authorities. There is no authority except from God, and those which exist are established by God. Therefore, whoever resists authority has opposed the ordinance of God, and they who have opposed will receive condemnation upon themselves. Whatever our views are about these laws, as Christians we are commanded to obey the civil laws. So it's our responsibility to do that with a clear conscience. It's just prudent to try to follow the laws so that we don't get in trouble for breaking them. If we don't like them, well, maybe we should try to change them. But as it is, we should put ourselves under the authority of those laws. Thanks for listening.